Tamsen, we are simpatico in that way. We have a lot of parallels, especially as we discussed prior to this taping, because you spent a lot of
Hmm.
time here in Houston. We both went to the University of Houston, as it turns out, at
Yeah.
the very same time. And there are a lot of
Yes.
parallels in our career as well. So I am truly honored and blessed to be on this show with you. I'm so happy you reached out.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm so happy you agreed because I got to tell you, it gets me excited when women can speak with each other and then help other women and
Hmm.
inspire them because I think it's something that a lot of us didn't do for a very, very long time
Right.
because we weren't exactly sure how to do it. And especially women at this age where now more than ever before, we just need that. We need that girlfriend we maybe can't talk to. We need
Yes.
that advice. We need that just person to say it's okay. And it's what you're
Mm.
doing now every single day with a different audience that is maybe not in front of the television, at least right now, but they're sure finding you someplace else. So let's first talk about it for people who don't know you. You spent 28 years in
Yep.
television in Houston, one of the most famous faces of
Ah,
Houston
bless your
television
heart.
news, which is it was, but it's really exciting. I mean, I think it speaks a lot. I'm sure you had opportunities to go other places, but you decided that being in that community was something that was equally as important as your
It
career.
was, and it's where I grew up. I've lived here since 74. My family moved here when I was 8 years old. So I went to schools out on the west side of town. I wound up even staying here and going to the University of Houston. An anomaly in this line of work, I got my first job in
Hmm.
radio here in Houston, which then parlayed into the TV job. So everything about my career was so atypical, but it kept me here. And it was as if it's a sign that, this is your home, and your home and your community has been so good to you. So service your community. And that's how I see our role in the news business. We are a service to the community. We provide content and information that's relevant so people can make informed decisions about their lives and their livelihood. And the longer I stayed, the more entrenched that I felt, the greater sense of community that I felt. And you're right, in this business, sure, you open your eyes to other options and other people may reach out to you. But I think as you mature, your priorities shift in what matters. And it's not so much climbing that career ladder as it is experiencing quality of life. And as you know, as you
Hmm.
grow in this business, you marry, you have children, that becomes an even greater part of your decision making. And it's why I chose to stay.
I think that you talk about that and you talk about community, and one of the biggest words is trust, and that's really what you gained with that audience, in Houston. But now you're gaining that trust in other areas as well, and I find that fascinating, and I think that's why your message is resonating as it is, both online on YouTube, and then also now with the book that you have coming out.
Yeah, I think, you know this being a broadcaster yourself. It's all about authenticity and how willing you are to sort of, and I always use this analogy, kind of peeling back the layers of the onion
Right.
and getting deep and getting real. And when I started the YouTube channel in 2014, and you'll appreciate this, Tamsin, because as a female broadcaster, you can do your best work on air and someone will write in saying, that lipstick, where'd you get that? Or how are you doing that eye makeup? And you're thinking, did you pay attention to what I said at all?
I'm a
But it's okay.
journalist.
It is what it is, right? And
Right.
so I had always answered those questions. And to me, YouTube became this fabulous platform to be able to show and demonstrate all of the things that we learn behind the scenes, being
Hmm.
on camera. You've got to figure out your hair, you got to figure out makeup, wardrobe, all of that. We never had consultants, and I'm grateful for it because it was trial and error. It was,
Sure.
look at yourself on camera. Did this work? Did this not work? What did you do? How did you apply? So I started the channel based on that premise. Little did I realize as time went by, and I started sharing, and I would start off barefaced in my bathroom, just like every other woman. And I
Hmm.
wasn't afraid to go there, deep circles and all of that. That it was that authenticity and that being real that was really forming this connection. And I started to get more and more questions from women and even letters and emails talking about that vulnerability and something about being at this age and phase in our lives. This is such a pivotal period for us in terms of change. We're going through physical changes with menopause. And I know you've had women on your show talking about that. And it's such an important discussion because it impacts every aspect of your life. Your hormones impact your mental state, impact your sex drive, impact your relationships, how you feel about yourself, what's going on with your body. So as this community grew and the conversation grew, it made me realize that we were going well beyond hair and makeup tutorials, but we were forming this community of sisterhood of women from late 30s, early 40s, all the way into their 70s, talking about this sort of change in life and this decision and epiphany to dig in the heels and say, you know what, I'm worthy of time invested. I'm worthy of feeling good about myself. And how do I go about getting there?
Well, and I think that that's what's so important because we really, and you and I didn't really probably talk to anybody else about this. I remember getting into this business and somebody said to me, when you get to be 35, 40, you better plan on moving on because
exit strategy.
Find what else works. And it is why I had started other businesses during the course of being, in this world. But the truth of the matter is that now you turn on the television and you see women who are 45 and 50 and 55 and 60 years old who are on TV and are out there and are relevant. And so I love the fact that those are the people that you're speaking to because, we're here, and there's a whole lot of us here. I mean, when you look at women going, in menopause just itself, there are 1 billion women that are going to be in menopause by the year 2025, and all those women are in the height of their career right now, and you're speaking to so many of them. So when you started this, did you think about this as the words that you use, a platform, a brand, or were you just starting to talk to women and creating a community?
Yeah, it was for me, I had no idea where it would lead when it started. And that has been the beauty and the surprise in all of this is where it's taken me. Yeah. And I actually am so grateful for it because I love the depth in things. I'm not a superficial person. And so it may seem like hair, makeup, wardrobe, oh, it's so superficial. It's not. And it really became the premise and the philosophy of my belief system. And I write about it in the book. I call it beauty from the outside in, which flips the script on the saying beauty from the inside out. So why do I believe in that? I think the physical change is so powerful and impactful. You change your hair completely. You try a new makeup. You change your wardrobe. Suddenly you are seeing yourself in a whole different light. Seeing is believing in this case. And when you see differently about yourself, you start to feel differently and you think, okay, well, I took some bold risks here. So why not do a deeper dive? Why not tackle, maybe organization in my life or structure or my relationships, my priorities, my hobbies or whatever. And I find that it's just this great kickstart to going in and making some really big, meaningful life changes. And so that's the stuff that started to speak to me personally, because those are areas where I like to go. And it was just the exterior that became the entree to getting into the deep and doing that inner work. And that's where I'm excited to see women making the big and impactful and lasting changes.
Yeah, I love it. And those are the changes that matter. And look, we're going to change it all the time. Our life is about transitions. That's what it is. And oftentimes that's where we're living that part of life is in those transitions. Right. Your book, Life Makeover, Embrace the Bold, Beautiful, and Blessed You. Are you excited about this? Because I don't know if anybody sets out to write a book, but sometimes it just calls us and we have no choice. Right. I'm assuming that's what happened with you.
Yeah. Oh, it was a total calling, and it was probably a culmination of a bunch of different things. It was viewers saying to me, sometimes on social media, you should write a book, or sometimes in letters that would come from all over the world. I hope you write a book. The last little tap that I got actually happened in church one Sunday, and there was a woman sitting behind me, and just in the middle of church, she reached and she whispered, "You should write a book." And I thought, okay, this is happening far too often, and now it's happening in church. That's seriously. So I'm like, I think God's planting a seed in me that I better get going on this. Yeah. And that was October of 2018. And that's when I sat outside on a beautiful, crisp autumn day here in Houston. And I took my laptop and I started just clicking out some stuff and building it and building it and building it. And really, that's how it began. And, found a literary agent who happened to be a follower of mine on YouTube who said yes. and shopped it around, and the Nelson division of HarperCollins said yes. And here we are, April 5th of 2022. And I can't believe it. It's surreal. I pinch myself, but it's not for me. It's not about me. It's about the woman. It's about the reader. And it's my hope that she just grabs the material and it speaks to her so that she can make the change in her life that she's seeking.
Well, I'm excited about that for you, and I'm excited about helping you promote that, because I think it's really an important message, and I think that it's an important message that women, promote each other and lift each other up. Because I agree. You've been in the business that I've been in, and it doesn't always happen. It just doesn't always happen. It can be a very competitive world out there, and so when you see one woman do that with another, I just think that that's what we're here for. And at the end of the day, if you've lived life enough and you understand it, and you understand what's really important, you know that certainly is. What do you want to do next? I know you have a very, very creative side, and I know that do you do your own videos? Do you shoot them and edit them?
I do. I shoot, edit. Wow. I'm an MMJ, as they say.
That's where I started. I know.
Right?
Yes, of course.
I love
Except
that
the cameras
process.
were a lot bigger.
They were. Everything's so much smaller. I'm editing on my little laptop. I even use iMovie. I haven't even gotten to Final Cut Pro.
I love it. Oh my
Seriously.
gosh, good for you. I can't either. What's so funny? I edited when I was young, and now I'm like, what happened to me? Why am I'm on iMovie, but it works. It works just fine.
Beautifully. Yes. It's a very easy, intuitive system. I'm like, I don't need anything more complicated that's going to add hours to this process. It's about the messaging, not all the flying in graphics and all of that kind of stuff. That's not what I'm about. Right. So that's why iMovie is so perfect. But I love that. And like you, that's the creative part of what we do. It's the shooting, it's the setting up with the lighting and the set, and then the edits and knowing where to edit and how to edit. Right. And that was actually one of my favorite parts being in television, going out and shooting a story or doing a series. I used to love to sit in the edit bay with the photographer and look at the shots and say, okay, let's plug this in here and let's try that. That is such a huge creative part of what we do. And it's so neat for me to be able to put that into play post television news and into this line of work.
It really is where the story is made, quite frankly.
100%.
It's where the little pops of sound are. It's where the little nuances that you don't really see when you're standing there talking to somebody, because you can't pay attention to all of it. So let's talk about your mom, because I love the fact that you have such a great relationship with your mother. That's so special to me, Audrey. Yeah. But that's exciting, in the fact that you bring her into play, and and she's got her own fan club, which is wonderful. But the relationship has built you into the woman that you are.
Well, thank you. And she would love hearing that and would appreciate that so much. She's a remarkable woman. She is strong. She is funny. She's a pistol. I am so blessed to have her with me. To have your mom and for her to be around my son, that is such a special gift to have. And I know not everybody has that. So that in and of itself is a blessing. But she's such a unique person, and she's such a character that the minute I introduced her to this platform, everybody just latched on to Audrey. And they're like, we need more Audrey. So I'm constantly brainstorming on how I can incorporate her in videos, because there's a larger segment of my audience that is older, and they can relate to her physical self, her skin, all of that. So they're like, well, dress your mother, or, how would that apply to her age or whatever. So, they keep my wheels turning, and it's just more opportunity to spend time with my mom behind the camera. Editing is challenging. I'm like, oh God, we can't say that. No, we can't include that. But that's okay. That's okay. I don't mind.
But she's definitely aspirational. I think the relationship is so aspirational too. What do you want to do next with the platform? Do you want to be back on television in a different way, or are you trying to figure that out as you go? And you've got a book, so that's something to focus on.
100%. And so that's where my energy is going now. It's just in the proper promotion of the book and getting it out there and the messaging out there. And my feeling is that I'm very linear in focus. I've always been that way. So one thing at a time. I don't like to spray too wide, because then I feel like I'm not giving everything the proper attention that it needs. So now that, Channel 2 just ended last week. So that was a huge exit and shift now to this. So I would say my focus is content creation for YouTube, just, staying relevant, making sure that I'm giving my audience what it is that they're looking for from me. Also having the messaging tie into the book so that there's that connectivity between the platforms. Then it'll be book promotion come spring. And then I'm just going to open myself up to what's next after that and see what comes my way. See again what's planted in my heart. I think sometimes if we overthink things, we can steer ourselves in directions where we may not necessarily need to go, or may not be ready to go, or may not even be right for us. So I love how things flow naturally, and I love the evolutionary process in that. And I'm just going to let that happen. So we'll see what comes after the book, but I don't have a clue.
I love it. Let me tell you what, when I started my next book, it was called Now What? Because I just said like, oh my gosh, that's what I keep asking myself. But I think sometimes we just don't know. Yeah. And I think sometimes it presents itself in the right way, and you figure it out. I'm sure a lot of people ask you, how did you figure out your passion? How did you figure out what you wanted to do? But I would say that a lot of yours is a lot of organically figuring it out along the way, because it had to do with what you're doing right now. You didn't, you shifted or transitioned into it versus a pivot.
Yeah, exactly. And it all just happened, as you said, organically and naturally, without overthinking, forcing, pushing. It just came. These thoughts or ideas come, or they can come from another person. I had a young gal who was and still is a big YouTuber, beauty vlogger, blogger, all of that. And she had a channel, and this is how my YouTube channel started. One day I was doing a selfie video of a smoky eye, right? Because I had so many people saying, well, how do you do the smoky eye thing? So I thought, all right, I'm going to do it. And I posted it to the KPRC Facebook page thinking, should I really have done that? I'm not so sure if I should have done that. That was very different. And so after I did, the comment section just kind of blew up. Oh, I've always been wondering. Thank you for showing me. What about this? What about that? And so this gal saw it and she said, you need a YouTube channel. And I said, a YouTube what? Well, I didn't even know. I mean, that's how oblivious I was to all of this. I did not know what it was. I didn't know what it meant. So I started to research, and I quickly found out that there were very few women in this lane of this age and demographic providing content for women in that age and demographic. And I thought, you know what? There may be a really neat opportunity here. And that's how it all started. So I figured if it started that way for that, it's going to start that way for something else.
I could not agree more, and I'm thrilled for you. I'm thrilled for you as a fellow Texan, and I'm thrilled for you as a woman in your prime that is showing other women, how to aspire to do what they want to do versus feel like we have to listen to the narrative that's out there, because that has really been my message for a long time, and I stick by it because I think it's very, very important, and I think now that we're living longer, there's a lot more time to ramp up and do that.